Oh, hey there, we're gonna have a Sonic 2 Sega Ages review. But first, let's talk about... This thing beside me is my rating system, and it is that I take 5 categories depending on the subject in hand, and then rate every one of them out of 10, then combine them together to get something out of 50. After all that shit jam before the review, let's talk about a bit of history. Before we can talk about Sonic 2, we have to talk about a little bit of Sonic history. And it is that before Sonic happened, Sega had a different mascot to compete against Nintendo. It was some random thing called Alex Boy or something. But of course, with a mascot with a gettable design like that, they were, of course, losing money. And like any smart company... Oh, wait a second. Oh, much better. So like any company, they need a new mascot, so they held a contest in the company. There were all different characters thrown around, like this Eggman with a sleeping suit or this blue rabbit thing, but everyone knows the winner was Yuji Naka's character, Sonic the Hedgehog. And after a bit of redesigning, a bit of ideas thrown around, like Sonic having a girlfriend or a cool band, but at the end, Sonic was released, and with a lot of marketing came a lot of success. And with that, Sega ordered a sequel. And then Sonic 2 was made, releasing on what they called the Sonic Tuesday, or something, I don't know how to spell it. For today's review's sake, of course, re-released it a lot of times. And the latest re-release was Sega Ages version. And let's talk about that. Oh, hey there, little guy. You wanna come? Okay, take your time. The first thing I wanna talk about is what I think is the most important part of any Sonic game, and it is the level, or in this case, zones. And because there's technically 10 zones, I will rate every one of them out of 1 point. And before we start the review, I want to clarify that the footage you are seeing right now is from an emulator of the original game. Also, I will try to shorten the review of every level so the video doesn't become an hour long. Anyway, let's start with a stage that many people hate and some like, and it is Green Hill Zone. Or I guess, in this case, Emerald Hill Zone. And I love this stage. It's what I want from any Sonic game. Like, it's a perfect mix of full speed sections and platforming. And it has a good amount of pathways. Not too much and not too little. And even if you are in a low path with a bit of fast platforming, you can go through it fast. And it's a good introduction in a level too. And I love that it has only 2 acts, not 3 like Sonic 1 did. And the only thing I could complain about it is the first enemy you encounter is this monkey dude, which when you try to hit him, he hits you immediately back, which is very confusing for a beginner. But except that, I love the stage, and I will give it a full point. And the second stage is Chemical Plant Zone, which I give the same praise as Emerald Hill, and more. Like, I love its usage of speed boost. Even though it was a glitch in development, I love the weird screen thing it does. And also, I love these tubes. They look very cool, and not as many people know, they're not just boring auto sections. You can actually control in them, not like something I will be talking about later. But anyway, I'm giving it a full point. And third is Aquatic Ruins. And Aquatic Ruins, for me at least, feels like a harder version of Green Hill Zone, with the green aesthetic and similar good level design, and I like that. But the thing I hate about it is the punishment for falling to a low path, because unlike other low paths in Sonic, no precision platforming will help you here, buddy, because it's just slow water, my favorite. favorite. So it gets 0.50. And the fourth stage is Casino Night. And Casino Night is my personal favorite stage because it is different from other stages in a good way. Because it feels very archaic with you jumping up and down and all around with the bumpers and stuff. Like it's very well designed too, not taking too much control out of the player. But it's casino slots giving me a bit of an addiction every time I just wanna get supersonic. Yeah. Anyway, it gets a full point. Then comes Hilltop Zone, which before reviewing it explains a problem with the game, that is that the first half of the game is very good, maybe even excellent, but then the second half just mostly goes downhill. Stop. Anywho, and the second half starts being transformed into in Hilltop Zone because this level is alright. There's still some loop-de-loops and swirly snakes, I like to call them that, but it also has very slow which some you can skip easily, others can't be skipped and are just very boring. But more of them can be skipped if you have Supersonic, and that's it just feels like another green ruins zone. Anyway, it gets a 0.50. Then comes the best part of the second half of the game, and it is Mystic Cave Zone. And I like a lot of things about it. Like its aesthetic, it feels different than everything else in the game, because when I play it, I feel like I'm exploring a spooky cave, opening doors and doing stuff, and its gameplay is the fastest in the second half of the game, because you can just breeze through it if you're good enough, and it gets a well-deserved full point. After that, there's Oil Ocean Zone and Metropolis Zone, which are the worst levels in this game. Heck, maybe even the worst levels in any Sonic game, and I always skip them every time I replay this game, because in them everything that can go wrong with a Sonic level did go wrong. Where to start? Like the enemies are the worst with very small projectiles, like the star and the seahorse and the octopuses, or unavoidable projectiles like the mantis or the crab, and there's so much waiting in the screws, waiting in this very slow shooting things. The problem with them is, unlike chemical plant, you don't have any control. Also, in these stages, don't you dare go fast, because you will either get hit or hit a wall. I don't want to talk about them anymore, but both of them just get a 0. And the final two levels have the same themes, being in the sky and all, but they have different gameplay, so I wanna rate them by themselves. So anywho, the first one is Sky Chase Zone, and it is a very good and relaxing level, especially after Metropolis Zone. And it's different from any other level in the Sonic game, with you controlling a plane and all. And I just like playing it. It's a full point. And lastly, but not least, is Wind Fortress Zone, which is a very good final classic stage. It's fast but hard, and there's cool shortcuts and different pathways, only one leading to the boss, but the other ones lead to it, and I just love the ending of it, so it gets a full point. But in Sonic, there's more to praise than just stages. There's also, well, that was weird. I'm pretty sure it's nothing. Do you know what? I'll just leave. Take your time. Well, I don't have a lot to say about the music, so let's just skip it. Okay, fine, I'll continue. Anyway, the music is genuinely great, and I think it adds a lot of atmosphere and themes to the levels. It has a lot of different genres of music, like upbeat music or jazzy music, and it's very catchy and somehow fits the game perfectly. Like in Emerald Hill, it has a very optimistic and upbeat song that fits the theming and like it's a start of an adventure. Also, it's, at least for me, my favorite song in the game or in Casino Night. Like, it has a laid back jazzy song that when I hear it, I just feel like I'm in a Los Angeles-esque casino, and the deep vocals give it a night feeling. Or in Mystic Cave, I wouldn't think about it as a spooky and explorative, but the music of it implies that perfectly, with a bit of the gameplay too, or even in bad levels. It's really good. Like in Oil Ocean Zone, the song gives it this old rusted metallic theme that I really like, but I don't know why, but it gives me an old Egyptian temple vibe for some reason. Anyway, and these are just short examples of my favorite songs, and the full soundtrack is just as amazing. And I could praise it for hours and hours, but sadly, I can't. All the music in this game composed by the legendary Masako Masamura, I really butchered that, anyway, deserves to get a full 10. But good music is a part of any Sonic game, but something that not every Sonic game succeeds at, that is, well, that was also weird. What am I gonna do? He's probably gonna come back. Well, I have an idea. Let's just sit down. He's probably not coming. Ooh, he came. I'll just go away again. Have is the bosses, and I will rate them the same way I rated the stages. I will also rate them by how long they take, like they take too much time or too little time. And if you're a skilled player, you can beat them quickly, but if you're just a beginner, you don't take too much time doing them. And without further ado, let's start with Drill Eggman, and it's a great first boss. There's different ways to beat him, and he doesn't take too long to beat, and you can just beat him in 2 seconds because he goes off screen, but it doesn't feel unfair too. And I just love the drill thing he does at the end before the final hit. Also, every time I play a Super Sonic, I just imagine Sonic just keeps touching the car and Eggman trying to run away. I don't know why, but I think that's funny. Also, as the first boss, he gets a full point. Then there's Water Eggman, which is a good boss, but with a few problems, like him taking too long to move and hit you. And when you hit him, there's a big chance that Tails will just screw you over and make you die, and it never feels fair at all, so it's a 0/50. Then there's Hammer Eggman, which gets the same praise as Drill Eggman and more, because he fits the runes aesthetic, and I just love this boss because it's the definition of not taking too long for a beginner, and if you are skilled, you can finish him very quickly. It's a full point. After that, there's Catcher Eggman, which gets the same praise as Drill Eggman because he fits the theme amazingly, feeling like a pinball machine as normal Sonic, and a Super Sonic. For me, it feels like a cinematic thing going to both sides to destroy the boss and stuff like that, and he is my favorite boss in the game. Not because of the actual boss himself, it's because of what I like to do after the boss, just going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. After that, there's Submarine Eggman, and I hate it. It's the second worst boss because you can beat him so fast, so easily, and if for some reason you waited for his attacks, they're pathetic and easy to avoid. It gets at 0. Then comes Drill Eggman 2, the Squeakquel. He's a pretty good boss. I like a lot of things about him. Like, for example, I like that he changes his head point from on top of him to the sides, and when he goes off screen, there's little projectiles coming at you, and they don't feel unfair, and if you're skilled enough, you can dodge them so easily. Anyway, he gets a full point. Then comes 2 Submarine 2 Eggman, which is better than the original boss, but that's not saying much, because it's just alright. The bad things about it are just that his attacks are very easy to avoid. All what you have to do is just duck for the most part and then jump at the last laser. Just kinda boring, but at least you don't take too long to beat him. And there's a bit of strategy in hitting him, and there's nothing unfair about it, so he gets a 0.50. Then there's Flying Eggman, which is for a late game boss. He's pretty great. He has the perfect mix of strategy and speed and a bit of luck. And I like that he has multiple moves, and when you hit him, he throws a balloon at you that you have to pop. And like Drill Eggman 1, when there's only one hit left, he starts shooting lasers, so he gets a full point. After that, there's Barrier Eggman, which is also for a late game boss. It's pretty good and pretty tough. And even though there's a bit of luck involved with the spikes and when the laser hits, he is not unfair or boring, and there's a lot of strategy for him, so he gets a full point. Lastly, but not least, is Mecha Sonic, which is a great, heck, an amazing final boss. It's perfect in every way. It's really hard and doesn't have any luck involved. It's fully about skill and the strategy of hitting him in the head, the touching his spikes, then he attacks you from above you or beside you, and there are no rings part of this boss isn't a problem. It makes him harder and more different from other bosses in the game, and I think this part of the boss just feels cool. So of course I give him okay, this isn't the actual final boss. The actual final boss is the Death Egg Robot, which sounds amazing until you play it, because he is the worst final boss. He's really boring with you having to wait a lot, like for him to fly, for him to come down, for him to attack, for him to move. And worst, he has a lot of unfair luck in him. With every attack, there's a big chance you will get hit for no reason. So he, with Mega Sonic of course, get 0.50. You all know where the 0.50 came from, but at least he didn't come back. Right? It wasn't just weird, it was also unfair. So this time didn't even wait for me to sit down. Just go away already. Before we start, I want to clarify that this segment will include footage from the internet because I don't have a Switch capture card and all. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I will first talk about the menus. And my opinion on it is that it's great that they even have a menu, because most classic re-releases on the Switch don't even have anything more than just the game itself, like FNAF or Dragon Quest or Doom. Oh my bad, Doom had an amazing new feature. It was that you have to sign an account in Bethesda's website and always be online to even access the game you just bought. Thanks, Bethesda. And it's not overly packed with a small budget like Sega Genesis Classics. I don't know why, but the menus in that game just felt cheap to me with their PS2 looking menus. Anyway, with their small budget, they did a great job with this game's menus, feeling like a stylish Sonic 90s thing with a relaxing background music and cute sound effects with transitional stuff between modes. My favorite being from Sonic 2 to Knuckles was just a cute little thing. But the manual option just redirects you to a website of all Sega Ages games, which is kinda lame, and even lamer is that it isn't even the 1992 manual, it's just a bundle layout which even doesn't work for something I'll be talking about later. Anywho, enough about menus, let's talk about settings. And the settings are great, with a lot of player choices, like what region they want to play in, or if they want to use cool new features like the drop dash or HD rumble, or having the level select right away. And unlike the Switch Online Classics, you can change the button layout as you like. And yes, you can make all the buttons A, then go to the Switch settings and make all the buttons A, then now you just wasted your time. Anyway, and the visual settings also, unlike the Switch Online Classics, are phenomenal, with different display and effects like a pixel perfect mode, or a classic mode, or a fit mode, or what I like to use, a full screen mode, with different wallpapers. Though they look generic, they have a different colors and fit the theme of the sport perfectly. But something that isn't in any classic game port that I wish existed is having a drawable wallpaper with like some basic colors at least. But at last that doesn't exist, so I'm not gonna count that. And the gameplay settings are pretty good. They have a save and load with 10 save states, and you can delete any of them or lock any of them so no one can delete them. Maybe if you have a little brother or something. Also, you can see rankings, but something I could praise the Switch Classics that this game doesn't have is the rewind feature, which is a missed potential. Like you could use them in the special stages and especially in this boss. And the porting itself doesn't have much to say about because it's pretty good with perfect sound and perfect visuals. The only real problem about it is that there's a bit of glitches I encounter while playing, but I'm unsure if that's a problem with the game itself or the porting, so I'm not gonna count that. Anyway, the port gets an 8 out of 10. This port doesn't only have quality of life improvements, it also has... But this one's not even weird. Anyway, how many lives do I have? This is my last one. Okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Since when did you have something in you? It doesn't matter. What's that? And the final point, finally, is the modes. And they are kinda good, but before I talk about them, I actually wanna talk about the playable characters. Of course, it's Sonic, your normie character. You can put him on the drive dash and stuff, but I already talked about him last point, so I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Anyway, then there's Knuckles, which is a great addition to this game, especially because he has all his abilities, even if the levels aren't designed around him in mind. I really like. And even greater, he's in every mode in the game, which I really like too, so he gets a full point. But then there's Tails, which is technically a playable character in only one mode, which is the normal mode that he was already in from the original game, and just like there, he doesn't have any abilities like flying, and with Sonic doesn't make you fly either, which is very disappointing too. So that gives the game a -1. Anyway, because there's only 4 modes, I'm going to rate every mode out of 2.5. Now let's review the modes, starting with original mode. There's not much to say that I didn't already say in any other point, so it gets a 2.5 for good emulation and stuff. Then there's ring keep mode, which I understand, but at the same time I really don't understand, because I'm pretty sure it's made for little kids or little siblings or stuff to make the game easier for them, or maybe an adult could use it in unfair stages like Metropolis to go to the special stages or something. But in the kids part, it's really pointless, because is it really hard in Sonic to get rings? We need to cut them in half every time you get hit, especially if this mode doesn't save you from anything else, like falling in a pit or getting squished, etc. And if there's a level the kid can't just beat, they could just skip it in the level select. So because this mode is very pointless, but some people could use it, it gets a 0.5. Then there's Super Sonic mode, which doesn't make you collect any of the Chaos Emeralds to become Sonic, which I would have loved because I'm really horrible at the special stages. There's a reason I didn't review them. Anywho, but you get 50 rings at the start of every act, and I have a problem with it because when I get Super Sonic, I like to feel like I earned it by collecting as many rings as possible and not getting hit. And it doesn't help that every time you turn into Super Sonic, you hear a repetitive Super Sonic song instead of the stage's music, which feels awesome if it's in the middle of a stage every 2 to 3 stages, but if it's at the start of every single act, it gets really annoying real fast. So because this mode I really like, but there's a bit of problems with it, it gets a 1.5. Then there's 100 ring challenge mode, which I really like because it's a mode that should be in every Sonic game. It's a time attack mode, trying to see how fast you can beat the stage, and it's not easy because you have to collect 100 rings before finishing it, and it saves a replay of all your scores. And even better, you can see other people's rankings around the world, not just reading but also seeing their scores with a bit of video features. My only gripe with it is that you only have Act 1 of Emerald Hill, but I could understand that because one, a lot of the stages are impossible to complete with 100 rings, and also this port probably didn't have much of a budget, so I don't expect a bazillion servers. Anywho, it gets a 1.5. Test. Anywho, let's go to the tower. So now, how do I go up the tower?
Huh?
How many stuff do you have? Doesn't matter. Let's jump! So, with the levels having a 7 out of 10, music a 10 out of 10, bosses a 7.5 out of 10, the porting 8 out of 10, and the modes a 6 out of 10, this game gets a 32.5 out of 50. Well, that's weird. Anyway, So that was my review of Sonic 2. My final thoughts are that if you want to play this game, the best version of it is Diane Hess's mobile version because it has widescreen, you can play as Tails, etc. But if you aren't a maniac and don't want to play Sonic on your phone, the next best version is actually the Sega Ages version. And I do recommend playing this game, especially this version. So if you actually liked my video, you can like and subscribe to see more. Wait a minute. I'm just gonna read my YouTuber 101 book. This was the book all along. Okay.